This week on Women Who Hustle. Martha Kay is resilience personified. She has fought battles most people would not overcome.
So I determined to create something from that, something else that I could be remembered, other than just the victim of an unfortunate circumstance.
Now she's using her voice to encourage other people to become overcomers.
So now I have authority to talk about overcoming challenges. I have authority to talk about strength. I have authority to talk about being a victor because I pushed myself to be one.
Her story is one of courage and persistence in the face of continuous battle.
I think I let what people were saying get to me.
I had to decide. Nobody could create that new image or how people would see me besides me.
So my name is Martha Kay from Uganda. I'm a creative. I like to say I'm an entertainer. Right, I'm an entertainer and an entrepreneur. So what does that make me? What's the word for that? But anyway, yeah, I'm a photographer. I'm a radio host. I'm a red carpet host. I'm an events host. I am a comedian. Some may say I'm an actress. And recently I became an author. I wrote a book last year. So yeah, that's basically who I am. No, never. I am extremely introverted and I used to be shy. I don't think I'm shy anymore, but I like to be in my space. I like to be comfortable. So it was never in my plans. Actually, this weekend I met some friends from school and they're like, we can't believe that you've become this personality, because I have a really low voice. I don't raise my voice. I keep to myself really. So yeah, growing up, my plan was never to join the entertainment industry. I am an extreme introvert. I like to keep to my space. I don't like to be in uncomfortable situations, so to speak. But in 2016, so I used to create content. I used to record these videos because I was living in a different country. I didn't have many friends. So these videos were kind of my way to express myself, to open up, to just be this, to be free. So I used to record these videos that people found funny. And one day in 2016, I just woke up and one of the videos I had recorded, I used to just tell stories. And one of the videos I had recorded got like 100,000 views. And before I knew it, everyone was referring to me as the Range Rover girl. So that's how I got the name. The video was about me being knocked by a Range Rover and being excited about it. So yeah, that's how I got the name Range Rover Girl. And before I knew it, everyone was asking, so when's the next video coming out? What's happening next? And so I kind of decided, let's see where this goes. So yeah, that's how I joined this industry and I'm loving it so far. So I started doing photography when I was maybe 15, 16. So that's how I actually got the name Martha Kay, because it used to be Martha Kay Photography. So I did it all through uni and a couple of years after. I released that video, the Range Rover video, in my last year of uni. So I was kind of doing both. So what made me kind of toned down on the photography was that I would go to events to do photography and people would come up to me as this personality and they'd want me to kind of, I remember one wedding, the MC calls me up and says, I was shooting, serious, doing my own thing, and this guy calls me up and says, come tell us a joke, because I was now a comedian. And I was so offended, but you see, I'm trying to build a brand in entertainment, but I'm also trying to build a photography. So what do I choose? I guess like any young, I was like 21, 22. I felt like this was more exciting. The entertainment world was more exciting. So I kind of chose because I felt like I couldn't do both. I reached a point when I actually tried to create a new company, which I call Tingle Media, which I thought would grow beyond me. beyond me, the personality. But so many of my clients would get offended and say, how can we hire Martha K and you send these random strangers? So I felt like the business was struggling. So I just decided to focus on one, and then eventually I would come back to photography because I really, really love it. And I think this is the year that I'm going to get back into photography. But in a way, I'm kind of still doing it because I shoot my own content. I edit, so I'm kind of still doing the whole production thing, just not still photos. Oh my lord, I actually write about this in my book because, like I said, the hype was extreme. I remember when the video came out. First of all, I didn't know. I was not so heavy on social media. I didn't know that it was so big until I was in groups, WhatsApp groups, because I would never say anything in the groups. People didn't know I was in the groups. So people started sending the video again and again, and I was like, wait, I'm funny? And I remember, I think like 2 weeks later, there's an agency, a big agency in Uganda that reached out to me, called me. They were offering me crazy money that I'd never even imagined. And I was like, whoa, so this is a thing. So I remember going into that office, and the distance from getting to the, like, you know, the reception to the office, I took like 10 selfies. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Like, people want to take pictures with me. So it was all hype, nice fun. But I remember the first time that I was like, wait, not everyone actually loves me, was when I was going to Dubai to see my mom. Actually, I was traveling with my mom, and she was already there. And so I'm at the airport, and you know the time when you're between checking in and like boarding. So I'm sitting there by myself, and this dude comes, and he's like, "Wow, Martha K, da da da. I'm such a fan." And he had these small bananas, and he's eating as we're talking. I can't be rude. Remember, I'm trying to create a brand, and there was no reason to be rude anyway. So when there's a boarding call, we stand up together and walk, you know, towards the plane. So somebody takes pictures of the both of us. And remember, this guy has bananas. So by the time I land in Dubai, there's news articles everywhere. People are sending me things. They're like, wow, you've traveled with a man who's eating bananas. And apparently this man was like, I think they did research, found out who he was, found out who his wife was, did an interview with the wife. The flight is like, what? Like, I don't know, like 5 hours? I could not believe how insane it had become. The wife, they'd done an interview with the wife. The wife was like, I thought he was going on a business trip, but clearly has gone with Martha K. And I didn't even know this guy's name. Can you imagine? So I remember, of course, now I had to explain to my family, my boyfriend then. It was a mess. And that was my first ever kind of negative side of the media. And of course, so many people started coming up with stories of, oh yeah, she sleeps with this married man and this other married man. And like, there were stories coming up. I'm just like, what is going on? Right. So I think for me, that was the first time I realized that, yeah, it's just not about my content. It's about, like, I need to be careful who I'm seen with.
Coming up.
So this guy asked me to send him 2 million. I don't know what the equivalent is, 2 million Ugandan shillings, so that he doesn't expose me. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is like, how is this happening to me? Mena, you know you're so beautiful. Jimmy doesn't touch on me. You want him to call me as Atehu. Atehu was your girlfriend. I broke up with that one. What happened? So there was this one day. I go to her house and she tells me she wants to eat. Babe, don't worry about that. You can order on Jumia. Babe, do you have like 2K for delivery? Because I didn't have enough. Delivery is only 2K. Yeah, Jumia, you only pay 2K for the delivery guy. It's a new promotion and stuff. Yeah. Thanks, babe. So she decides to ask me for her 2K the next day.
So I was asking, when are you going to send my 2K? Yeah, the 2K that we used to for the delivery for Jumia.
Yeah, so Abu Waveko, Katigwari ko. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. It was hard mostly because I feel that, everyone likes to be applauded, everyone wants to be appreciated, everybody wants to be understood. And so when you're misunderstood or you're judged wrongly, especially, you feel like you want to explain yourself. You feel like you want to go on national TV and say, guys, that was not my boyfriend, I just met him, and give the whole explanation. But then people don't care. In fact, they will use that as she's guilty. She's trying to create a story. And so I remember that's just one story, not even the worst. But many times I would think of posting on Twitter. You see so many personalities will go online and try to give a whole explanation, but people will tear you apart. So I think for me, I came to the realization that, this is not easy, but the people that matter understand. They know the truth. They know who my boyfriend is. They know who I was with in Dubai. And those that are misunderstanding me and judging me and calling me a mountain climber they don't really matter. So I think I just had to develop a thick skin, which I didn't have. Oof, my tears are like this close. So I cried a lot. Went through a lot of, should I stop, go off social media, deactivate my accounts? But then I couldn't let them stop me from doing what I love to do. I wish they knew how easy I am. Like, I take life so easy. So when someone has a problem with me, I'm like, I wish you knew. Like, I'm so in my own head, in my own space. I really don't have time for these battles and these wars. I wrote about it in my book that I went through a phase of, maybe I should give it back to them. Like, if you hate on me, I hate on you too. So I would maybe throw like a mean comment back. But these people have time. They will actually dissect you and find out something you did in P4 10 years ago and use that against you and bring it back. And then I went through a phase of, let me just not read the comments. Because, but then you cannot really grow a brand if you're not reading the comments. So you don't know what your people like, you don't know what your people are up to, especially if you're working with brands. So I got to a point of, you know what, this person doesn't know me. They will probably never know me, never meet me. So whatever they're saying is a projection of their own insecurities, of their own pain, because there's no way you can be happy and you go onto a stranger's page and say, look at your big head, you look like a popo. Why? It's because you're so sad in your heart that everything is just irritating. If you notice, there are days when you have like a really bad day and you see someone taking a nice picture and you're like, maybe that's not even her real body, or and yet when you're having a good day, you're like, okay, cool, scroll. So I don't know. I wish people could just be at peace. Sometimes I actually feel sorry. I'm like, I wish you could be happier so you wouldn't insult strangers. Yeah. So in 2019, I don't want to get into so much of the detail of how it happened, but I started to get, the short of it is that my phone went missing and I received these calls from this person who had access to my explicit pictures. and explicit pictures. Isn't that too big a word? Nude pictures. So this guy asked me to send him 2 million. I don't know what the equivalent is, 2 million Ugandan shillings, so that he doesn't expose me. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is like, how is this happening to me? So I'm like, I'm a victim of my own, my own, photographs. Anyway, so he asked me for money, and immediately I'm thinking, let me send it so this ends. So I send it. He's like, oh, you're actually such a nice person. You're so sweet. Da da da. Going to return your phones, and yeah, call it even. So I'm thinking, okay, I guess life is not as bad as I thought. The next day, he tells me he basically tosses me around, tells me how he's put the phone at a petrol station. I should go there. So I go there with someone, and there's no phone. Nobody has come to the place. So I call him. I call him on my number. So I call him, and he says, "You need to give me an extra 2 million because I don't remember what reason he gave me." Oh, he saw chats. He saw chats with me and a certain celebrity. And he's like, now I need more because this is hot gossip, right? So I'm like, but what's going on? Are you going to keep doing this? He's like, no, this is the last time. Silly me. I gave him the money. Anyway, long story short, we go back and forth until I gave him probably like 18 million Ugandan shillings. It is a lot of money. And I was like, my business was growing. I was doing so well, so well. So it got to a point where I involved, the authorities, because someone may ask, why was I continuously giving him this money, right? All this time. But I was trying to contain the situation. I felt that he had no reason to actually harm me. He wasn't an ex-boyfriend. He wasn't someone I had done anything to. He just wanted money. So if I gave him the money, maybe the situation wouldn't happen, right? And I felt that if I told the police and they landed on him, the police would actually, someone in the police would actually start to blackmail me as well. So I was like, I can do this. I got this. I'm working. I have the money. I'll sort this, boss girl. So anyway, I eventually got too much. Went too far. He really took me on a ride. Went as far as saying that I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to torture you until you kill yourself. And I remember asking him, why? What have I done to you? So yeah, life goes back to normal. I'm thanking God. I'm like, God is so good. The pictures are not, this is 2 months later. Actually, almost 3, because it's almost June. I had a big event. I was shooting. Everyone was like, where have you been? Nobody knew what was going on in my life except, close family and close friends. Like 5 people knew. So everyone else was like, oh, we missed, the female photographer, etc, etc. And so yeah, I did the big event, got paid really well. I was so happy, came back home late, quite late, slept, woke up at around like 10:30 on Friday the 31st. Woke up and phoned 17 missed calls. I'll never forget the number. And so I called one of the first people that called me, one of my friends. So I called her back, and I asked her, what's wrong? She's like, Martha, something terrible has happened. And I'm like, is it my pictures? And she says, yes. And so I hung up, called my mom, told her the pictures are out. And yeah, so I go onto Twitter and I'm trending at number 1. Remember, I started by telling you I had created this brand of, I'm like a clown. I wasn't very fashiony. I wasn't very like sexual. I was just like comedy. Just imagine like a comedian. So that coming out was a totally different realm of how people saw me. And so that, I think, kind of fueled the conversations and the memes because it was like, oh my God, this girl is supposed to be sweet and like shy and like, funny. And now look at this, right? And it was the worst day of my life, to say the least. That I think if there's a word worse than worst, it was that. For me, that my turning point, why I decided to write the book. One day I was walking in town, and of course, this is really the condensed version of what was going on. But I remember one lady looks at me and looks at her phone, looks at me again, and she does this. And I was thinking, wow. Of course, it took a lot for me to even move on the streets, let people see me. People would point and make all these noises and heckles and what. But when she did that, I was like, this cannot be my story. This cannot be the end of my road. That every time you see me, because if I disappear, that will be it. Be like, oh, she was so funny, she was so entertaining, but this happened to her. Her nudes came out, and that was it. We've not had anything. So I determined to create something from that, something else that I could be remembered, other than just the victim of an unfortunate circumstance. So when I eventually came back, I apologized to my people because of course there were so many battles, the battles of people saying what they think happened, because I never ever came out to say what happened. People creating all sorts of stories. My fans were insulting people, and it was just like, it was a mess. So I came back, addressed the situation a bit, and then I moved on. And slowly by slowly, I started to rebuild my brand. And when I did, so many people would ask me, how do you show your face in public? And I'm like, I didn't kill anybody. It's not the end of the world. It can't be the end of the world. I mean, I'm still here. What am I going to do? Should I die? I can't. So because of the questions I was getting, and so many people opening up to me about their struggles with their mental health, and slowly by slowly I also started sharing about the depression that I went through, and the drinking, and how I overcame it. And so because of those questions, I figured, how about I kind of write about my whole experience in the media, on social media, so that there's a book, so that you don't have to keep asking me questions. So the book is it's called Stuck in the Web. It's stuck in the web, like the web of the social media web, the World Wide Web. The ins and the outs, the questions you've been asking me, how I came in, the lows, the insults, how I've maneuvered that, the scandal, overcoming it, and eventually how I've built myself up, management, friends, family, boyfriends, all of that. So yeah, that's why I decided to write a book, because I actually write in the beginning of the book that my brother-in-law, who is also my mentor, told me one of those days during that time that success is not about who has, who's been lucky, who's had a good break, a good story, but it's about who has fallen and has managed to make something out of it. He told me that you only have authority to speak in front of people when you come out of this. If you stay down, you have no authority, because you're always going to be a loser. No, that can't be it. So now I have authority to talk about overcoming challenges. I have authority to talk about strength. I have authority to talk about being a victor, because I pushed myself to be one.
Coming up,
social media is just that, social media. It's not reality. I remember so many comments I would read, and I would go into depression, where I would not leave my house for weeks. I had to decide. Nobody could create that new image or how people would see me besides me.
Jesus, you love me too much, oh, too much, oh, hallelujah, too much, oh, excess love, oh. Lord, does this one want from me again? Yes, Mama Prosi, praise God. Of course, I had the news. Prosi finally got a man. You know, we're all so worried. We've heard about her appetite, that she eats like a thief. On top of that, she has that stomach. Never been kama mlunji. Don't worry about control. You know, my son Kato, he's now an accountant. He's a big man, so he will bring the contribution. Don't worry about it. Amount, you know, the Bible says it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. So leave the amount to me, because even 2 billion, I can just send it. Amen. Amen. Someone wanted to embarrass me. Why did you contribute all that money? Have you heard of 1xbet? What's that? So basically, if you register with 1xbet using the promo code MATHAKUG, you get a 200% bonus on your very first deposit. 200% bonus? Yeah, 200%. Let me see.
Lessons I learned in building the business. Oh my gosh, there's so many lessons. But I think the biggest thing for me was that it's important to love what you do. I started photography as a business when I was maybe like 18. And I remember showing up to places and the client is like, so where's the photographer? Where's your boss? And it didn't help that I was a woman, that I am a woman. And I would get so offended. But with time, I realized this is something that's new. You know, like even with the content that I create, it's something that's new. So people are not going to be welcoming, right? So you might as well, like, your passion has to push you, because if it's praises that you're looking for, they're not going to come. In fact, it's the complete opposite that you're going to receive. So many times I would just put my ego down, put my pride away, and let my work speak for itself. So I think for me, my passion really, really kept me going. And to the other side, the other question you asked was that the failures of it, I think I let what people were saying get to me. And because I remember many people saying that now you're a brand, now you're a personality, you can't be, doing photography, you're not going to just stand and be pretty. So many people were like, you need to like hire people. And because the brand was created around me, the business was around me, that kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe I need to leave, to let this go, which I really regret. So yeah, passion and knowing that this is what I want to do. No one else is going to applaud me. In fact, they will ridicule me, but I need to keep going because it gave me so much purpose. I remember recently my brother was telling me that he has not seen me as happy as I used to be when I was doing photography. Yes, I love content. Yes, I love what I'm doing now, but it gave me a different kind of like peace and joy. Yeah.
What I wish I had known previously is that social media is just that, social media. It's not reality. I remember so many comments I would read and I would go into like depression where I would not leave my house for weeks because of what someone online has said. But I remember someone telling me that, Martha, think about when you're going on social media. So you get your phone, you're scrolling, you see a post, you leave a comment, and then you continue. How long does that take? Maximum 2 minutes. So why is what someone has said or thought about in 2 minutes going to affect you for even an hour? So why should my life stop because Jack and Henry are going to talk about me for 2 minutes, right? So I wish I knew that when I was going through what I was going through, because I feel like I wasted so much time dwelling in negativity and like I plan to get back into photography, maybe not as like events the way I used to do, but like shoots, and especially like family shoots, baby shoots. That's my plan. But the thing that I'm most excited about is I'm starting. I saw your slogan is take charge, so I'm actually starting an initiative called Take Charge. See, the logo is here. So yeah, Take Charge is going to be about having open conversations about mental health, the struggles people go through in regards to mental health. I want to create an environment that is just okay and it's normal to talk about anxiety, to talk about depression, to talk about stress. I find that people don't even know where to find, like, if you need help, where do I go? I recently found out there are only 28 mental health facilities in this country. Imagine we're so many people. 28 is, so I want to create a space that we can have those conversations. I want to do a TV show, where people will kind of share their stories and how they've overcome the things that they've been through and how they're pushing forward and how they're, because I feel that if you hear that, okay, Martha went through this and she's smiling and she looks like nothing ever happened, maybe that will encourage someone to do the same for their own lives. Literally the only person that can save you. Many people that I thought should have called me then didn't talk to me for years, a year, maybe 2 years, and have talked to me even just this year, and their excuse was that I didn't know what to say. And I'm thinking, wow, I can choose to be angry at this person, or I can just, cut them some slack, because people have their own struggles. So I would say that nobody is going to save you, regardless of what you're going through. I had to decide nobody could create that new image or how people would see me besides me. The other thing is that you're not a slave to your emotions. My emotions are supposed to work for me, which means that I have the capacity to say, no, yeah, okay, that was mean, that was very rude, but you are not going to let this ruin your day. You cannot let your emotions decide the words you say. You're not going to let your emotions decide how you look, because some people will just be so gloomy and you're like, what happened? You're like, oh, my husband annoyed me in the morning. It's 6 p.m. Why are you still mad? So yeah, it's easy to say it. It's harder to do it. What do they say? It's easier said than done. But I literally tell myself, no, emotions, I'm the boss here. You're not my boss. You're my slave. I'm not your slave. So it's taken me a while of reassuring myself every single day and saying that was a bad moment. It's not a bad life. It's not a bad day. It's gonna get better. 2 things. In summary, you're not a slave to your emotions and you're a hero of your story. Nobody's coming to save you.